What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back once again with career mode, episode number 8. This is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and we've got a very interesting little series developing here, haven't we? If you haven't seen the previous episode, the Monaco Grand Prix, I recommend you go stop this video right now and check out the previous episode. It was a monumental episode in the context of the recent history of Marduk Motorsport. But today we are delegating a new secondary sponsor. The first one that we had with Atlantic, that one has run out, and now we are choosing something new. Now that we're a higher team acclaim, I've noticed that the weekly income and gold bonus increases for your primary sponsor, and now that we've in a position where we can negotiate a new contract with someone, the weekly income and the gold bonus is just that much higher than the original secondary sponsor contract we had previously. So, just having a look here, I'm sorting everything by weekly income, and I'm just trying to find something that's realistic for us to achieve. I found two here, DSB Optics and Pay Night. They look pretty decent. I think I'm probably going to go with Pay Night, as they are asking for a top 12 finish, which I feel like for the most part we can achieve. So we will go with that. Weekly income of 159k and 200k gold bonus. That will do us very, very nicely indeed. So we're going to move on and we're going to do some more housekeeping bits. We've got $2.46 million, which we can delegate. Before we do that, we will chuck in the old power unit components. We're nearing on 70-80% for the ICE, so that is purely just a practice engine now. I did toy with the idea of running with that engine for Monaco, but I decided to go full send with a newer engine, and that's why we were maybe a little bit more on the pace at Monaco than what we would have been if we took the alternative strategy of what everyone else was doing with their allocation. But we're fast forwarding time now. We've assigned all of our activities. I am going to stop this midway through the week and upgrade the facilities because we get a new influx of cash.
I know we were expecting some new developments to come through, but some of them have failed the quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the R&D screen.
That is a shame. I actually missed what failed there. I think it might have been an engine component. But yeah, we are going to upgrade the fabrication elements of the aero department. That just means that we can now toy with the idea of doing simultaneous development, 2 upgrades at once. We did apply a major front downforce upgrade, and that'll take a few weeks to go on the car. In the meantime, we can work on other areas of aero, so that is a very handy one to have. But as we head into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we can see the trend of development for some of the teams. We've actually closed into the midfield. We're very, very close to a lot of teams. You know, the likes of Alpha, Haas, McLaren, Racing Point. It's pretty tight. So we should be in for a good few rounds if current trend is going to stay the way it is, and especially with some of the major updates we've got coming, like the downforce, then we could be even more of a threat once that goes on, hopefully without issue. So here we are for qualifying now for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Let's see what the car can do around here. We know that we don't have the best power unit in the world, but in saying that, it's a little bit of a tricky one. Sometimes I feel like we're quite slow, straight line speed wise. Other times I actually feel like we're not too bad. I guess it just depends on a number of factors really, setup and where we're kind of standing in the cycle of our power unit. Sometimes I might chuck in a fresher power unit and we'll be on the pace. That could be like a band-aid fix, but I would imagine that a lot of teams now have got their second cycle of power unit components in now, and so this will be a good test to see where we stand as we approach the near on halfway point of the season. Mick Schumacher putting in a time. It got him P12. Only 4/10 away from me there, so not too bad from Mick. In terms of the difficulty, I think we're running 108 or 109 for this weekend. I know the Baku is a more difficult circuit for the player to be competitive, so we shall see how it goes for us. But we're going out at the end of the session now for one final run. We're going to see if we can secure ourselves a spot into the next qualifying session. We are safe at the moment, but we do need to get out there and set another time. But as we go out on track, the game just took up too much time, and it meant that we missed getting our final run in, and as such, someone has beat us right to the death there, and we've been demoted from P16 to P17, and we are out in qualifying 1 of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. My teammate only 2/10 behind me, so it was pretty close there between the two of us, but it's disappointment here in Baku. Let's go to the race.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Alright then, here we are on the grid of Baku. This place always throws up some interesting races, and I would imagine that this is going to be no exception. We are starting from P16 on the grid today. We do have news coming in that Danny Kvyat, our rival, has a grid penalty, so he'll be starting last. Promotes my teammate Mick up into 18th. I'd really love to see a good performance.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Thanks, Jeff, for interrupting me as always. Always popping up when you're not needed. But, yeah, let's hope that Mick has a good day today. He really needs to make his mark in this championship. He's a fast driver. This always seems to be the way of my career mode teammates. They always show good promise, but they never really live up to that. Mick, if you actually want me to sign you on for the second half of the season, I'm going to need a good performance out of you today. So I hope that you don't disappoint as we get ready to start this race. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix, let's just all get through turn 8 cleanly. Away we go for round 8, and it looks like a decent start for us so far. No, it's not. We're getting absolutely mugged on the run into turn 1. We're on the hard compounded tyre. So too is a lot of people back in the pack here. So we're going to phase in quite nicely as everyone on softs dives in very early in this race. We'll be able to put the softs on ourselves towards the end, and maybe, just maybe, gun for a fast lap of the overall Grand Prix. I don't know if the car is in a position to do that, but that'll be the target. Up the inside of Danny Kvyat. Danny Kvyat was last in this race. It was his teammate Pierre Gasly, P15. Net gain of 1 position, a bit of contact there at the apex. I didn't expect Gasly to come back at us there, but he risked it for the chocolate biscuit. Didn't work out for him. The leaders all negotiate the castle section for the first of 26 times. Very nice, lads. Let's hope that my teammates can make all 26 of those laps. We don't need to worry about that anymore. We got rid of Atlantic, so there's no pressure for us to have reliability. It's probably a good thing we got rid of those guys, because we haven't really worked on reliability at all. The only thing I've really touched is gearbox and ICs for the engine. So that will need to be a focus, maybe towards the end of the season. For now, though, I'm being aggressive as always. I'm just making sure that the pace of the car is there. We will have to take grid penalties at some point for extra engine components, but that day is thankfully not today. DRS enabled as we head on to lap 3. We're in the slipstream of Sainz and Norris, and looks like they're trying to chase down one of the Haas drivers, I believe, as we see Lance Stroll up the inside of Pierre Gasly into turn 1. I can see my teammate getting in the mix there. Let's hope that Mick can get stuck in if he can. This is literally going on right behind me and is allowing me to stretch away without any pressure from behind. Once again, we've underfueled the car. That's Danny Kvyat overtaking my teammate. That is things you do not want to see. So Mick drops a place, I think like P19 in this Grand Prix. So, yeah. I've lost my train of thought. I've completely lost my train of thought. But regardless, we're going to continue to march forward in this Grand Prix if we can. We are getting dragged along by the 2 McLarens ahead. Not really making any inroads on these guys, though. I am pushing. I'm trying to get closer to these guys so I can cut through the traffic a little bit better and get to the front of this queue. But the pace isn't quite there. These McLarens are pretty pacey. Maybe not so much in a straight line, but in the corners they're pretty decent. I am running 2.8 wings, I think, which doesn't sound like low wings, but it's lower than what the default setup would have been. So at least there is that. We've got Daniel Ricciardo making an early stop onto medium compounded tyres. that confirms to me that he's doing a 2-stop today. So watch out for him later on in the race. He might be chasing us down. We see the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel diving in for hard compound tyres. Hamilton, Verstappen is in as well. It's happy hour at the front of the field. And it looks like Hamilton is going to emerge right in the mix of where we are. We actually lost DRS on this last lap. So this is a timely rejoin for Hamilton, because it means he's within 1 second of me, and I've got DRS on the train again. So that was a very, very lucky break for us. And with Hamilton on the back of this queue, you would imagine he'd start battling and holding them up. So let's see if that works in our favour. Again, we've lost DRS to the train ahead. We're now under pressure from Sebastian Vettel. There's probably no point fighting this, so I'm going to turn the engine down, and I'm going to let him go, get his DRS, his slipstream, maybe even save a little bit of fuel as we see more people in the lane. Promote does happen to P7. If there's a late safety car or something, then we're on for an amazing strategy, you would have to say. One of the Alfa Romeos diving in to the pit lane. We now get overtaken by Charles Leclerc. The driver in question who was in the pit lane was Antonio Giovinazzi. The only person, there's a few people up the road. We've got Romain Grosjean, I believe, who is leading this race. Still hasn't made a stop yet. He's on medium compound tyres, and the McLarens are chasing him down, with Lewis Hamilton still not really making any inroads on those McLarens. You can see, the McLarens are now in DRS of Grosjean, so we'll see how that little battle unfolds over the coming laps. But they are starting to hold each other up now, and we might potentially be back in DRS range in just a few moments' time as Vettel gets past Norris. And then behind this, Vettel was getting past Sainz, and Sainz was then, you saw what happened. Forget about it. We've now got a racing point out of this Grand Prix. That is Lance Stroll. The pit lane is literally right there, mate, so he could have made the extra effort to just get back into his garage, but no, he had to be difficult. But here we see Vettel getting past the second McLaren, and there we go. He is now on the charge for Lewis Hamilton, who is leading this race now. I believe Grosjean has made his stop, so that promotes us up into P6. Thinking about a pit stop now. I was toying with the idea of switching to the medium tyre just to get the undercut on the McLarens. But then the tide started to switch a little bit. At this point in the race, I've started to actually catch the McLarens naturally. So they are maybe suffering a little bit more with tyre wear than what I am. I do have one tyre wear upgrade applied to my car, as we now see Ricciardo on the 2-stop closing up to the back of us, but then he makes his second stop. So that was timely of Renault there. There goes Bottas. But I was catching the McLarens, and funnily enough, I was about to stop and pit for mediums, but then all hell broke loose, and now I'm staying out, and I'm going to go softs to the end. So here we go. We've got Sainz and Verstappen on my left-hand side, and that was very, very close at the third to last corner. We do get the position. Sainz actually has an issue, which has been evident for a few laps now from my engineer, but here we go, 3 wide on the replay. Verstappen going for the madman lunge up the inside of all of us. Here's the onboard from him. He was tucked up right under my rear wing. Pressed overtake and tried to be really opportunistic here. Probably too opportunistic. That was not a smart move. He had to lean on Sainz to get through there, but he's got through anyway. And in a matter of moments, he will be clearing me as well, but not into turn 1. Not just yet, Max. Probably get me at the next left-hander. Sainz is in for the soft compound tyres. I had an alternate strategy change for medium tyres, but then I didn't get another alternate strategy change again to know when to come in for my softs. So I kind of missed the ball, missed the, I don't know. I should have came in 1 lap earlier, is what I'm saying. So we're in now, and we're onto the softs. So we'll see what pace is like once we rejoin. Hopefully we can stay in front of Sainz, even though he did get the undercut on us the lap previous, onto the soft compound tyres. Bit of a slow stop there from the boys, 2.2 seconds. Marduk Motorsport, they're the best in the pit lane, but they weren't so dependable today. 2.2, someone's getting fired after this one. Nah, maybe not. I'll go easy. Maybe just a warning this time. But Sainz tucked up behind Kimi Räikkönen. I do believe Sainz has sorted his issue now, even though I don't have visual or verbal confirmation from Jeff to confirm that, but it looks like he's running at a decent pace now, as we are now looking to attack as we head into turn 1 in the slipstream of Carlos Sainz. Do we go inside, or are we going to go for a very bold outside overtake? You bet we are. Very unconventional, but we pull it off at turn 1. You can see just how happy I am about that. Raikkonen is up next. We are on the charge on the soft compound tyres. Dodgy dive bomb into turn 3, and we have just got Kimi Raikkonen, a former F1 world champion, in only our 8th Grand Prix of our career. Look at this. That is the definition of a dive bomb in every sense of the word. And there goes Carlos Sainz as well. He was through and dry thanks to the displacement of Raikkonen there. He'd be absolutely raging, but I didn't want to have any hold-ups in this Grand Prix. I know how difficult it is to overtake an Alfa Romeo. They're an absolute rocket ship in a straight line, and they've got nothing, literally nothing to offer in the corners. And so I did not want to be held up at this part of the track. So we move on. Grosjean is next on old hard compound tyres. We go again for a nice little move up the inside, and that is P11 for us. Next up is Sergio Perez. We could definitely be on for some points today, as he's on hard compound tyres as well. In front of Perez, this is the fight for P7 or P8. I can't quite tell. Lando gets through, and the two McLaren 2021 teammates are going to duke it out with Antonio Giovinazzi with the watching brief there in P9. But we are closing up to some points now. Here's Sergio Perez. Can we get him? We've got 3 laps to do so. Realistically, I'd like to get Perez and Giovinazzi. Anything beyond that is probably a bonus. But we shall see. Sergio looking a little bit slow on the run into the downhill left-hander. We're going to go all the way around the outside and pull off the move, no less, for some points. Sergio is actually... Oh, he spun out. Let's have a look on the replay. Lucas Weber pulled off this very move last year on F1 2019, and looks like Sergio kept his nose in. Oh, that's tough, you know. Might be a racing incident. I'm not really sure how to call that one. So I feel like I did everything I could there with Sergio. I was really late under brakes. Maybe he could have backed out. It's hard to tell. We now get Antonio Giovinazzi on lap 24. And we now have our sights set after my fellow countryman, Daniel Ricciardo. So at this point in the Grand Prix, the diminishing returns of a soft compound tyre are going to be coming to the fore. These tyres will only get slower and slower, whereas the mediums are still going to drop off towards the end here, but not as much as what my tyres will. So I need to strike as early as I can. You could see the tyres were like yellowy orange, more orange on the rear in terms of tyre, where I didn't actually catch the specific number, but it would be in the 30 to 40% region. Last up of the Grand Prix, and we are closing up to Daniel. So we still have superior grip, but for how much longer? We'll have to wait and see. A little bit of wheel spin there through the middle sector into the castle section. The Renault is quite understeery through there. My car was actually pretty understeery at the castle section as well on the hard compound tyres at the start of the race, but that was more of a tyre temperature issue, I believe. We're going to see the finish for the race leaders. We've got not Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, very, very close to winning from Sebastian Vettel. And then Charles Leclerc, very, very close in third as well. We've had so many close finishes for the race leaders this season. The battle for supremacy in this championship is a very intriguing one. It's fascinating to watch the battle between Mercedes and Ferrari. But today, the battle is between Marduk Motorsport and Renault this time will come out on top. It is P8 for Ricciardo, P9 for me, 2 extra points to add to the tally after a fabulous Monaco Grand Prix last episode. And that just confirms that we, as a team, are on the rise. You love to see it.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Ferrari are at it again, an excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
They seem to know what they're doing for the time being. Another win for Ferrari, another win for Sebastian Vettel. He continues his streak of wins. He extends the gap in the championship. Let's have a look at that in just a moment. But 2 more points for us. Mick, where did he finish? Not in the top 14. That is for sure. It just seemed like he got bogged down a little bit. Maybe I could do some more upgrades to the engine. This wasn't going to be an amazing track for us. And I know how difficult it can be for people in slower cars to overtake, especially if they don't have that straight line advantage. Which we definitely had in a way because of our setup. Definitely aided in overtaking. But at the same time, Mick's pace was decent, 141.8. So the pace was there, just maybe bogged down behind other people, potentially. It's hard to tell. I can't really keep an eye on what he's doing in his race. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. We got pretty lucky, to be honest. We were able to get in the slipstream of the McLarens and use their DRS. And that actually, I feel like, gave me better pace at the start of the Grand Prix. I wasn't as fast. And then at the end, we really switched on with the soft compound tyres. Possibly made a mistake there with staying out that little bit too long. I should have stopped the lap before when Carlos Sainz did. I would have jumped maybe a couple other people and just would have been able to maximize the soft compound tyres a little bit better. And who knows, we could have been challenging the likes of Norris for, what was it, P7, P8? Definitely could have got Ricciardo. But you live and you learn. I was maybe just a little bit tentative after what happened in China, I think it was. When we came in near the end of the race on softs and they just completely died out. That's what I was fearing. And not knowing the pit lap, I just, lost out a little bit there, unfortunately. But a nice influx of cash once again, nearing on 2 mil. I don't imagine we'll be able to upgrade any of the facilities at the end of this episode. That'll probably come at the end of the next one. Or maybe... Actually, what I'm just thinking about is possibly even just banking the money I have and looking at what I can do second driver-wise, because I actually need to save up money to be able to afford my second driver's contract for the upcoming period. Mick Schumacher's contract is coming to an end sometime in July, and we are approaching that very quickly. So if I don't have any money saved up, I'm going to have to cheap out here and go for Mahiva Raghunathan. Or maybe even some of the regen drivers who aren't actually on the free agents list, but they are there if you are really low on cash reserves. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. Ideally, I want Mick to be lifting his game a little bit. I will try and give him a better car to help showcase his talent a little bit more to come through the field. But this is the time for Mick to start impressing in the next couple of races so that he can secure his future in Formula One. What an interesting prospect. We are now making decisions on our teammates. I don't think I should have this much power, this much responsibility. But your feedback, as always, is appreciated. I think in the next episode, we'll have a really solid look at the driver market and see who's available for what price and how their stats are developing over the course of this career mode series. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content on F1 2020. And until the next episode, I'll see you next time.